the one that I love the most is joy. And I'm going to tear up. Like, I have joy. And it's just always there. Even when I get down, like, life isn't perfect now. My mental health isn't always exactly amazing and perfect. And I have joy all the time. So being able to express myself, being able to have tough conversations and have them be healthy, having healthy relationships, understanding how to communicate, leaving the past in the past, like actually working through and healing and having different expectations for the future. I know that the future is always evolving to something new. There are patterns and I can see them now. I have the self-awareness to see the pattern, be like, oh, I can choose something different, right? I am a different person. I'm the person I always wanted to be and thought I was, but wasn't in action.
Stories are powerful.
Welcome to the Rise, Recover, Live podcast, brought to you by The Phoenix. This is a space where people impacted by substance use can come to share their story of strength and resilience, get open and honest, and inspire hope and build community through shared experience.
We'll be talking to people in our community on their own recovery journey and shine a light on the topic of recovery in all its forms. Maybe you'll hear some of your story in theirs.
Let's show the world that together we rise, recover, and live.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Rise, Recover, Live podcast. We are your hosts, Bryce III, he, him pronouns, and
Liz McKean, she, her pronouns.
Are you a program now, huh? See, I'm not going to give you a do-over. I'm going to let everybody know that I had like 4 do-overs, but Liz gets no do-over, so everybody gets to hear her blooper.
You know what's funny is that I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day. I was like, man, we really smoothed out our intro. Like, we don't even have to talk about it anymore because we're just like so I jinxed us. It was on me. So I'm sorry, Bryce.
Yeah. Get your juju off of me. How's your energy today, Liz?
Man, my energy is always happy when I get to spend time with you and have these conversations with our guests. So it is great. How's yours?
My energy is cool. I'm chilling. I'm a bit productive. Also, let myself recharge a little bit. Being gracious and patient with my mind and my body and all of those good things. And I'm super excited to be here today to talk to our guests. Who do we have here with us today, Liz?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we are so honored to have Donna Atkinson here with us today, who comes from Ithaca, New York, which is part of the country, part of New York State that I'm from, and so excited to have this conversation. Donna is a volunteer with the Phoenix and came highly recommended as someone to bring onto the podcast. So we could not be more grateful to be here. How are you doing today, Donna?
That's my energy today.
Woo!
Grateful. Yes. Yeah, I'm stoked to be here. I have listened to a bunch of your episodes, and I have been inspired by one I can think of in particular. I can't remember the person's name. It was pretty recent. Anyway, it was a writer that you had on writing about her recovery. Just published her book.
Sarah Levy.
I haven't ordered the book yet.
Sarah.
Yeah, it got me really fired up. I really appreciated her story, and I felt so related to that. So thank you for that. And I'm just super grateful to be here. I feel like I'm in super good company.
That's like the highest compliment for real.
I know. Yeah. I'm like, man, this is already off to a great start. So thank you, Donna. And Sarah, I think, is actually going to be coming on our book club coming up. So if anybody's readers and are reading her book, then definitely check out book club on our live stream platform, because we've heard that from a lot of people that was an episode that really touched folks. So thanks for calling that out. What a cool thing.
What was the name of the book? What was the name of it again?
Drinking Games.
Yeah.
Cool.
Clever title.
I think, and the reason I say that's, one of the highest compliments is because like we really aim to create a space where people from all over, people from all different walks of life are comfortable to come in and share their story. Selfishly so, because it makes for great content, and more people want to listen to the show, but also because we want to have as many touch points as we can with as many different communities as we can to create connectivity. If you hear your story or hear something that fires you up, like you said, Donna, like, then that might be your connectivity for that day, and maybe you really needed that. And it's, so that's beautiful to hear that you were able to take from that, and that you've been listening to the show. And now, look, full circle moment, you're here, so we can't wait
Hot
to
dog.
hear your
That's
story.
it.
We're excited.
Let's just start from the top. Donna, I know that for some folks it can be overwhelming, so feel free to tell me if it is, but I'd love to just hear whatever part of your story you'd like to share. I believe you do identify as a person in recovery, so if you want to talk a little about that, I'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And again, thanks for the opportunity to share this.
Of course.
When I decided to try one day of not drinking, I was unable to go to a grocery store. I was tremendously just filled with anxiety, doubt, depression. I was a mess. And I had one person in my life for years, my therapist, who just suggested trying a day. Just try a day, right? And I woke up Sunday morning and I saw the evidence of my previous night. And I felt fine. I thought, I'm going to try it today. Let's see what happens. I go to golf with a buddy of mine. And here in New York, you can't buy alcohol before noon on a Sunday. And she's a sweet person. I've been friends with her forever, my good friend. And it was like 10 a.m. She said, I'll go get you your 6-pack. And I said, but they know me here. She said, I'll get you your 6-pack. I was like, you know what? I'm okay today. And she said, are you sick? So that was the first indicator, I was like, okay, right? So I made it through that day. And that night, I was alone again. The night before, I had been alone. I was alone again. My girlfriend at the time, the relationship was devolving. And she was away. She had left town sort of suddenly. So I was alone again. And I Googled fitness classes because I thought, if I set up a fitness class for a morning, I won't be sick. I don't want to be sick in front of anyone. So I might take a day off of drinking the night before. So I emailed, I'd never done any fitness thing in my life before. I emailed a class, signed up for Wednesday, made it to Wednesday. And that was my first CrossFit class.
Oh, wow.
And I was very nervous, and I made it to Wednesday, and subsequent days, I just said, today I'm not going to drink. I signed up for a 3 class a week membership, and I made it every day. I just kept making it. Not drinking today, not drinking today. And I was so scared of people. I didn't want them to talk to me. My girlfriend came back. We kept dating and living together. And after about 3 months of doing CrossFit, and I made it not drinking every day, just today, just today, just today. And I finally convinced her to come with me to CrossFit and be my social buffer so that no one would talk to me. Because they were relentlessly nice to me. And, oh, you're doing a good job, or, just good morning. I was like,
how dare they?
Don't talk to me. So scared. I'll just fast forward and tell you, I've been doing CrossFit for 7 years. I've been sober for 7 years. I'm now married to my wife. We figured it out.
Yeah.
I figured it out. And I'm now a CrossFit coach. I can go to the grocery store successfully. Like, sometimes I'm like, I haven't seen enough people today. I'm going to go to the grocery store. It's very busy here, the Wegmans and everything. And I love it now. And through fitness especially, I also did a lot of therapy. I also did a women's accountability group that met once a month, and we had goals for the first 2 years of my sobriety. And that group, just friends that we decided to come up with this group, they weren't sober. They were building homes and businesses and moving across the country. My goal for a solid year was to be kind and gentle to myself and others. That was my goal that I sat with. That I did a program called Landmark Education that really told me that I'm whole, perfect, and complete, and helped me leave some past stuff in the past. And so, yeah, those tools really transformed me. So now I get to offer that as a volunteer through the Phoenix. I get to offer CrossFit, a weekly CrossFit class, to folks that might not be able to afford it. So that's the synopsis. That's the short story. I have friends now that are in AA and things like that. And I was at a place that I was so afraid of groups of people, and also so much religious trauma and spiritual trauma from my past of being a queer person and growing up in the South, that I was like, AA didn't work for me. It was so terrifying. And now when we talk about your higher power, my higher power, I really get that it is that connectivity. It is that relatedness that we, that's what Phoenix provides. That's what podcasts like this, when I can see myself in another person, that's what it provides, So yeah, it just has me waking up every day with a bunch of gratitude. And I'm so happy to be a volunteer with the Phoenix, be able to offer that to other people.
So awesome.
Yeah, that's the short story.
That is a great story. We're gonna make it even longer. Gosh, there's so much that you said that I relate to, but I think the thing that I want to just kind of zoom in on is the I don't even know, like societal assumption that like we have a solution and it's just up to people to use it when it comes to substance use. Like, we've got like, go find a 12-step meeting, or, the opposite of addiction is connection. So go connect, and so many of us, it's like, we don't know how to do that when we're sober, it's really, that's a scary thing. And there's so many other just personal experiences and fears that can be a barrier to, like you said, accessing some of those resources. And, and that's not even going into some of the issues with access to things like, therapy and things that cost money and require you to get in a car and maybe drive somewhere. So this world that is now opening up, where there's multiple pathways and there's lots of different options. And like you said, you could just plug in a podcast and start to feel that little bit of connection and feel like maybe you're less alone, or you can go to a virtual, meeting or class, or, there's coaches out there. There's so many things that you can do that you get to choose your own adventure. And then there's people like you that are talking about it, and how like this was an area that was scary for me. And so I found this one. And now also I've started to see value in these other ones. And like, that just is this beautiful permission slip for people to feel like there is a place for them. There is hope for them. And that's
right.
That's something that,
and when we read
so
the
helpful.
Community standards in class, there is no one right way to recover. That resonates so much with the people there, because they're all different walks of life, and we've all, taken a different path.
Yeah.
And it's something else we can relate over, is that, we got here differently.
Yeah.
I think one of the most powerful parts of your story is when you said, and now I can grocery shop successfully. Because I know that, like, that feeling of desolation, like, I can't even go to the store. Like, I can't even get outside, like, the crib right now. Like, I can't even get outside of this room, And just with a couple of conversations that I've had with people recently, it's like, I don't know what it is. There's this overwhelming, like, I just can't do people. I don't want to be around people. I'm having trouble, like, thinking to go get my oil change. Like, the fact that you've had that experience, and now that you are working to create these spaces where people can come, is, I think, the power of the ripple effect. Because not only are you working to create the spaces, but like, you have personal experience with like that feeling.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Like, I would want to go get a cup of coffee. I would get in my car. I would rent myself up, get in my car to go to the coffee shop, look at it, and just keep on driving. I know what it feels like to walk into a room and just think that I am not welcome there. I am not safe. I am not welcome. So to really know that experience just very deeply, when someone walks into the room, my goal is to make them belong, welcome. And it just it fills my cup so much that we've created this space inside of Phoenix here in Ithaca Palace Fitness, or Palace CrossFit, that when people, like, I watch them relating to each other, talking to each other, caring about each other. Like, I know that I created it. I start the vibe. I create, like, I get to be the thermostat in the room. And now I'm barely necessary. Like, these people care about each other. When a new person walks in, I'm not even the first person to welcome them now. Like, someone else, a member of the community, is stoked to bring in someone and let them know they're safe,
So cool.
and like, they'll come up to me and like, hey, I think this person's really bothered by the noise. You might want to, let them know that they can just put some paper in their ears, or maybe we could start bringing earplugs for people who are like sensitive to the noise of these barbells falling. That's and that just creating that space and watching it be created over and over again, and everyone, all the love in the room, it's just so inspiring and fills up my cup, having had the experience of feeling so unsafe for a lot of my life.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, it's having the Phoenix as a organization with the app and the advertising and the organization as a whole and the support has been incredible. I did start a free fitness. I copied the Phoenix's model before the Phoenix actually came to Palace because I liked it so much, and they said that we were too small of a community, and they suggested that I do my own. So I did. And then when the Phoenix came in, like my community volunteer manager, coordinator, whatever, sent us a box of t-shirts and everything. So now your second class, you get a t-shirt, right? And
So great.
People wear that t-shirt every single week, and they show up in their Black Phoenix t-shirt, so proud. And it's like a little army of Phoenix members working out together, like 10 people doing barbells or running down the street, all in their Phoenix gear. They're proud of it. They're proud of their recovery. They're proud to belong to this group and to be in this class. And it just gives me my life. Like, I'll show up pretty tired. I do a lot of work. I do a lot of coaching. I leave there at 7:30. I am like so happy and energized. I'm like, maybe I'll cook for the rest of the weekend, do my meal prep done or whatever. Because I'm just so, like fired up. Just, they're giving me so much back
So great.
as a volunteer.
Man,
it's phenomenal.
Just the fact that, I mean, I feel like we've said similar words on this podcast 1,000 times, but like, we live in a world where people can wear that shirt out in the world and be proud of it. Like, to have recovery be something that you're recovering out loud, and if you choose to talk about it, and to have this thing that was such a deep shame to now be what you're the most proud of, and your superpower, and what you're able to offer to other people is just, I mean, there's just not words for it, because we're so, I know so many of us, myself was just so afraid to ever have anybody know. And that was what kept me so sick for so long. Another thing that you said, Donna, was about how in Rochester, or in New York, you couldn't buy alcohol before noon on Sundays. And that just like clicked something in my brain, because I remember knowing exactly what time, stores opened. I remember, I think about this every once in a while when I'm driving down a street where there's a lot of like, strip malls or just like signs and things like that, because there were a few years ago, I was on the road with my husband and had this moment where I was like, you know what? I don't notice liquor stores anymore. Like, I used to like scan, even within, some time of sobriety, I remember just scanning the signs to just make sure I knew where those stores were. Even if I was with somebody else, I would want to know where they were later. And that moment where you're no longer like noticing when the clock ticks the time, or when you're seeing the signs or whatever, it's one of those kind of like almost invisible milestones, where like, oh my God, look at that. And it just, things do change. Like, we can change.
Yes.
It's a cool thing.
Or you have a really stressful time or something happens. The thought still pops for me. Like, it still pops in there, and I'm like, nah, I have other ways of handling this now. I'm going to actually call another human being and tell them what's going on, or go for a run, or whatever it is.
Yeah. What have been some of like those more poignant or like more pertinent changes from how things used to be to how things are? You said sometimes you hop in the car to go to the grocery store because you need to be around people, or now you pick up the phone. Yeah. What are some other ways that life has become different, and what has that process been for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, Bryce, I mean, I was shut down. I was so shut down. I had no feelings. I had angry and I had depressed. That was it. And then I had drunk or on substances. Like, those were my emotions. So for 6 months, I was either angry or weepy, but it was different, And I've evolved and developed all these feelings, and the joy. And I think the one that I love the most is joy. And I'm going to tear up. Like, I have joy. And it's just always there. Even when I get down, like, life isn't perfect now. My mental health isn't always exactly amazing and perfect. And I have joy all the time. And so being able to express myself, being able to have tough conversations and have them be healthy, having healthy relationships, that was a huge transition. Understanding how to communicate, leaving the past in the past, like actually working through and healing myself, healing and having different expectations for the future. That was game changing. I know that the future is always evolving to something new. There are patterns and I can see them now. I have the self-awareness to see the pattern, be like, oh, I can choose something different, right? Arguments with my partner, I fight fair. I know how to have a healthy relationship. Like, I can say I statements. I am a different person. I'm the person I always wanted to be and thought I was, but wasn't in action.
It's incredible.
It's a complete and total transformation for me. And a lot of it has to do with CrossFit and fitness, and a lot of it has to do with the amazing people I have around me. Like, with CrossFit and fitness, I got to feel inside my body again. I got to feel strong. I got to, have people cheer me on to get to a goal, to get, a bar muscle up, to get over the bar. Have a video of just like people yelling, "Yeah, Donna!" I remember that moment. It was 5 years ago. It was a big deal to me. Like, how often do like regular people like us have people yelling, "Go you!"
In adulthood, no less, like as grown-ups.
Yeah, as an adult. Right, for pull-ups.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Yeah. Like, to feel that kind of support and people cheering for you.
So awesome.
I didn't realize there were so many people cheering for me. And they really, looking back on my life, there's always been a lot of people cheering for me. And I didn't see it before because I was hurt, and didn't have the tools.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a lot of the transformation was physical and a lot of it mental, and absolute complete transformation.
Hey, everybody, this is Andy Short. You might remember me from episode 34 of this very podcast. I am here to talk a little bit about Pride season at the Phoenix. As a member of the LGBTQ plus community, I know it can be hard to find sober or recovery-focused Pride spaces. Phoenix is here to change that. We got hundreds of events across the country for y'all, in person, online, social events, workouts, hikes, all kinds of amazing celebrations for the community. So come on out. If you can hear the sound of my voice, I love you personally, the person who is listening. You are loved by me. Create the space with us, and let's have an amazing Pride season. And how you can do that, it's pretty easy. Just go to your local app store, download the Phoenix app, see what's happening nearby or online, and come on out.
It's so cool that we're having this conversation. My husband and I were talking earlier about communities and the difference between us, like as people. Like, he, when he has days off, wants to just like be home, hang out with the dog. He's like, you'll go away for a few days for work, and I'll like realize I haven't left the house in a few days. And I'm like, maybe that, I don't know what that means. Maybe I should want to be out there and be part of more things. And I was like, I think it's because you are, and you have been. It's like, because that connection, the way you're able to receive that connection and community in a way that isn't even like you always have to be in it, like you are part of that CrossFit community and part of that Phoenix community, even when you are alone in your house, because you have that like safe space inside of you, like, that you're okay. Like, just, you're okay by yourself. And you also partially know that because you have all these people cheering for you, whether or not you can see them right in front of you. And, right. I joke a lot about how my husband is like this very just stable person who's just happy and confident. And I'm just like, I don't relate at all. And I'm so grateful because there couldn't be two of us in this relationship. But I know that I saw that change in myself through recovery, you know, where I was less reliant on things that were outside of me to be okay, because I knew I was okay over time. But then that also allowed me to be like a more, I don't know, like a better a real contribution to the communities that I was part of. And we all have that in us, because I feel like early in sobriety or before even recovery, it can be hard to picture that you actually do have something to contribute.
Oh, exactly.
And you
Absolutely.
sure freaking do.
I felt like such a piece of trash. Like I really, such a piece of trash, which translated into overconfidence and just BS, right? And now I am a contribution. I know I have things to offer. I'm happy to give it away.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always a gift to be able to give it, you know, to coach someone, or because I do coach also for, you know, actual pay.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, they pay me for this. I'm like, I would do this for free. Don't tell them.
We won't tell them.
But yeah, absolutely. To actually understand that you are a contributor and you have something to give out and to offer the world. I couldn't picture my life like that. When I would consider not drinking before I did, in that consideration stage where you actually think of things as a possibility, like part of how you transform and change your behavior. When I'm still in the considering phase, I could not picture my life. Like, what would I do if I didn't drink? Because so much of my life revolved around wine tastings, parties with friends that were pretty drinking heavy, vacations that were very much involved alcohol and alcoholic experiences. Like 2, 3, 4 nights a week out with friends. Like that's what life looked like. I could not imagine what my life looked like. It kind of reminds me, like when people retire, they're like, I don't know how I ever had time to work. Like their life just got filled up. Yeah. And my life is so filled up with so much fun, fitness, friends, family, and who I get to show up as a contributor to my family, like my immediate family, and then my folks, and then all the step kids and who I get to show up for my loved ones. I'm just so grateful for that. And it feels really good to be a contributor in any way that I can.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
There's one question I got for you that I'm super curious about before we get up out of here. And you talk about the beginning where, like, you know, you was in that level of desperation, and then you sought out this CrossFit class, or this fitness class, something that you'd never done previous to that. So what would you say to somebody who feels like, I don't have any option, I'm low, I'm lost, and they don't necessarily even think that they possess the strength to like sign up for something that they've never signed up for, or get involved in something and just throw themselves into something? Like,
and maybe they've only seen CrossFit with like the Instagram and like the games. Sorry.
Yeah, it's intense. I think, well, that's a whole, like, I could talk about CrossFit sport versus like longevity and health is very different. And I'm a fan of both. But what I think I would say is I would invite them to my class because it's super fun. And it's fun, it's approachable, and literally everybody can do it. The hardest thing is getting through the door, right? I think if that wasn't an option, maybe they weren't local, or maybe that Phoenix stuff wasn't an option, I'd say some sort of structure. Set something up for yourself. That's what I was attempting to do with the 3 days a week. It was very expensive for me at the time. It was really hitting against my budget. So I knew I would do it, right? So that's what worked for me. I think a structure of any type is helpful, you know, and I've had people that like me as a coach in regular class, or they're, you know, heard, so they've come to the Phoenix class, not being necessarily a sober person and following the rule, the 48-hour rule. And it has fundamentally changed their relationship with alcohol. Like this, I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea that I was drinking a lot or that how much I had, or, it's changed my behavior because if I have a stressful day on Tuesday, now I can't just go to the liquor store like I used to because I know I want to make your class on Thursday. Right. So having that low barrier to entry, that 2 days, making that 2 days, trying that out, try out any class at all, make that 2 days. That's what I would say. 100%. I made it. I mean, technically it was 3 days before my first class, and it made a huge difference because it gave me just enough clarity to be able to show up for myself. That and the structure of it, I would say.
I feel like you are in and I feel like unique's the wrong word, but special kind of position to be able to relate to a lot of different levels of, I don't know, just people within the recovery community. When you got sober, like when you stopped drinking, you had somebody suggest, clearly there was, some suggestion to maybe try to not drink, but then you still had friends, offering you alcohol. You didn't have that, scenario where everyone was like hiding it from you or anything, you were,
right.
you were knowing, had a feeling it was time, but it was not necessarily.
I definitely didn't think I had a drinking problem.
Right. Yeah. And so there's people probably that are able to talk to you about that.
Right. And I think I can approach a lot of folks, or they can approach me because it's not that I don't care, but I'm not judging. Like if you make the 2 days, I'm happy with that. That's the requirement. And I will talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. And I'll point you in the direction of a therapist or an AA group or another sober person that would like to have this relationship with you about this, like a sponsor type thing. That's my goal, is to be really approachable and non-judgmental. There was a concern when I started before we were Phoenix app. The Phoenix thing was that people would just come because it's a free class at the gym. And that certainly did happen. And they followed the rule.
Yeah.
Right. And I was okay with that because I've since understood that there was an impact. Right. And that's what I'm here for. So I think it's really important to just be super non-judgy. And if connectedness is the goal, connect, right? Relate and be relatable. And yeah.
And that reduction in stigma too, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the Phoenix, is that you don't have to identify as a person in recovery, like whether it's, a supporter, family member, friend, however someone refers to themselves, like being part of this community doesn't mean you have to have had those, nobody's had the same experiences, but you don't have to say, my name is Liz, I'm an alcoholic, I just have to be there and support everyone and everyone's journey. And that's how we change the way the world looks at addiction, is how we bring people together who have had different experiences that are at different parts of the journey without having any idea what's going to be the next part of the journey, and can see that we're all just doing the best that we can as humans in this very, not easy human journey, and just trusting each other to take that next step in the direction that's going to be best for us, and not trying to say what that should be.
Right. And what it should look like. Like, were you alcoholic enough? Were you, you weren't your rock bottom. Like my rock bottom was a good year and a half before I quit drinking. I just passed out, busted my face, black eye, concussion for 2 weeks from having too many drinks in the sun. I drank for another year and a half after that. My rock bottom, that's what I would call it. And then my, everything. But do you have to have a rock bottom to want to quit drinking and realize the impact that it's having on your life? Because I really feel like I actually stopped because life started feeling a little short. And I feel like I was spending a lot of time and money on alcohol. That was like, and this person had suggested this to me over and over again. That was my first, maybe I'll do this. It wasn't the rock bottom smashing my face up, right? So I think having such an open, welcoming community has it be that it doesn't have to look a certain way in order for you to call yourself a sober person. You didn't have to have a huge problem to understand that the way that alcohol is in our culture might not be the healthiest for us as a population.
Clearly it's not working the way that we've done it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And that's why we can all see each other. Like I feel like the cool thing about Phoenix is that there's something for everybody, and if there's not something for you, then you have the power to go and create it, like be a volunteer, like create whatever, fill, a gap if you see one. And that doesn't mean that everything's going to be for everybody. Like, I feel like we've demonstrated this in some ways on this podcast, but we've had plenty of people on the show that are like, I would never do CrossFit, like, holy smokes. And other people who are doing CrossFit that are like, I would never do yoga, and also never say never. But it's cool to see that, it really is choose your own adventure. And regardless of that adventure, you're still part of this. You're still part of this. You're still part of this community, and you are being cheered on, whether you're doing a pull up or just getting 48 hours. And that is, it's definitely the coolest thing I've ever been part of, and really grateful that you're part of it too.
Yeah, shout out to my man's or the person that reached out and said that they didn't listen to the podcast because they were into CrossFit. And now, it's like
you've had a CrossFitter.
Yeah, we got a couple episodes with some CrossFitters on here, So what I really appreciate is the cultures of the community. Like there's this overarching culture of connectivity within the Phoenix, but then there's like these subcultures of CrossFit, subculture of rock climbing, a subculture, and that's just a subculture of the Phoenix. But like ultimately, like rock climbing is its own culture, CrossFit is its own culture, music has its own culture with subgenres, and it's just like so many opportunities to like connect and have somebody to do this thing with, and I think it's super dope.
Yeah, I agree. It is. Dope. I've never said that. Okay.
Hey,
totally pulled it off.
First, you did. You pulled it off.
And I would like to toot the Phoenix horn just a little bit more with the app and having it with the community standards and having that right in there saying, please volunteer, be a part of this. We have 5 volunteers here in Ithaca now. So I have that are not affiliated with CrossFit. Now we have a mindful meditation at least once a month, led by a Phoenix volunteer who started with me. We have another person who is going to start doing hikes, at least monthly hikes, leading those.
Great.
Because this is a beautiful, up here is so beautiful. It's a perfect place for hiking. And then I have 2 volunteers that are coaching CrossFit so that I can take a day off or travel. And the class is always going, and having the structure of the Phoenix, and having, the background checks, the safety certificates that they have to see, everything that they do to apply, like has me feel like, okay, these people are in safe hands, right? And it increases, like, I would be more willing to go to a organized event where I know the person has been, qualified and checked out and is like, yes, this is a Phoenix volunteer. They know the drill. Yeah. So 5 volunteers.
It's incredible.
That's pretty dope, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Look at that. It's part of the vernacular now.
Dope enough to make you call it dope.
Yeah, it's dope. I started saying bro, ironically, like 5 years ago, and now I can't stop.
Oh, my goodness.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Careful if you start saying go gadget, anything, it's really hard to stop.
Not one episode goes by without it.
Or even just conversation between us. Like it's not even just on the mic. Let me tell you, it's become part of our lives, and I apologize.
Oh my gosh, you were funny with that go gadget.
I don't know.
Oh, we got the theme song. Oh my goodness. All right, Donna, before we get up out of here, final question. If you could go back in time and talk to any iteration of Donna from any season of your life and tell that Donna anything, what Donna would it be and what would you say?
It's tough because I wouldn't change a thing except the people that I hurt along the way. So, because I'm so grateful to be right where I am and to have learned everything that I've learned. And I'm so grateful for just that winding road. And also it was in circles a lot, that circular road. However, I think I would say an iteration of Donna around 18, 19 years old Go back to yoga. It helped you feel in your body, and do no harm. I think I could do with hurting less people along the way.
Wow. You are doing a lot of wonderful things to help a lot of people now. And I mean, that's all that anyone can ask of ourselves, is just to do the best we can with what we got in this moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And I have, those past things, I have taken responsibility for all those that are appropriate. And then I just don't bother the other folks. And I'm doing as good as I can right now.
Good. Well, and I would say, because I'm reaching back the curtains of time as well and telling all versions of Donna, just and all of us and myself, to forgive ourselves, because we're just doing the best that we can, and we are good. We are good, and we are doing good, and we're going to continue, because this is just growing. 5 volunteers this year, next year 10, 20, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And then world domination.
Heck yeah. Well, then, that'll be maybe 2025. We'll see. Obviously. It's on the calendar. Donna, thank you so much for being here. This has been such a fun conversation, and just super grateful for everything that you're doing, and just the person that you are in this community. So really appreciate you and for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. What an honor it's been.
Oh my gosh. Honor is ours. And for everyone listening, we're just always honored that you are here and plugging us into your earbuds. Try not to throw them off of your balcony if you heard the last episode. Actually, by the time this drops, it'll be a few episodes ago. I have them back, by the way. So keep listening. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If this episode has been meaningful to you, then we would love for you to share it. We also are so grateful for reviews, and we're always grateful to hear your voice. And I will pass it over to you for that info, Bryce.
Yeah. So what you do is you hop on the App Store, you grab. You thought I was going to do something crazy this time, but I wasn't. I'm getting straight to the point. Hop on the App Store, hop on the Google Play Store, go download the Phoenix app and gain access to the community that we've been talking about this entire episode. That's what I love about this organization, is that even when you try to show up to have an organic conversation and not sound like a commercial, it ends up sounding like a commercial because it's just so dope.
It's dope. It's who we are.
So yes, download the app to gain access to the community. Only requirement for any programming is just 48 hours of sobriety. And then once you download that app, there are community groups in there. One of the community groups is the Rise, Recover, Live podcast community group. Pop in there. Come talk to me and Liz. Hopefully Donna's in there. Come ask us questions. Come tell us how you're feeling. I got a question up right now. What do you think about mental health? Come engage. Come pop in and say, hey, tell us what you like about the podcast, what you don't like about the podcast. This is our show. And that's how you keep in contact with us. So download the app today. When you download the app, go in the community group. When you come in the community group, say hi, Bryce, specifically, and say and go. Where's Go Gadget Liz specifically?
And Liz will show up, because Go Gadget is like my bat signal, and I'll be there in a moment.
Either that, or just leave like a trail of Sour Patch Kids, and she'll find
that's key to my heart too. All right, well, we did it. Yet again, so grateful for both of you and everyone listening, and we'll catch you next time.
So now you're excited. Bryce, Liz, how do I get involved with the Phoenix? Well, my friend, it is super simple. We actually have an app. Head over to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, or look in the show notes of this podcast, wherever you're listening to or watching this podcast, and go download the Phoenix app.
The Phoenix app makes it so easy to find classes that are near you, or to access our virtual class schedule, where you can hop on from the comfort of your home. You can also join our groups and have a conversation with someone from the Phoenix community from anywhere in the world. Please make sure that you join the podcast group, where you can connect with Bryce and I and other listeners. Everything that you need is in the show notes. You can also head to our website at www.thephoenix.org. And maybe while you're there, you click the volunteer tab and get even more involved.